It's another win for Scotty Scheffler and 5 in a row for Nelly Korda. Welcome to another Monday night live here at Precision Golf in West Byfleet. In the UK, if you're joining us from further afield, welcome. Simon and I, as usual, doing our thing. Any questions you may have on golf coaching, fire them over to myself, and anything club fitting. What a weekend of golf, another barnstormer, right?
Power couple.
Scotty's got another jacket and Nelly's got more cash.
I mean, Scotty, I think he could loan money to countries now, couldn't he? The amount I mean, I thought he was tired, emotionally drained, not, head not in the game, and he's still 3 shots better than everyone else, or 4, or however many he finished this morning. Unbelievable.
Almost becoming an inevitability about Scotty's performances now when he's going out on the golf course, even after a slow start on Thursday, over par early in the week. But he talked about patience in his press conference today and waiting for him to get hot, which he did in the end. Mediocre round on Friday, but then Saturday he went super low. That's the kind of depth of confidence that he's got at the moment with his game.
I mean, how can you not? I mean, you've become 5 tournaments, 4 wins in a second. I mean, you just must think you're unbeatable. I remember Monty saying about when he was winning the Order of Merit, he'd stand at the back of the range and look at the others and go, well, they don't have a chance if I play the way half the way I know I can. To have that, you say the patience comes because you just know how good you are. So you go, well, it's going to come to me if I just stick around. I mean, unbelievable.
We're just talking to Nick, one of the club fitters, who's just got his clubs out for the first time this season, warming himself up, plays off +2 or 3. Nick, great golfer. He was just talking about how well Scotty has played this year and how convincing he has been under pressure, but also how easy it makes it look. And I think when you've got a golf swing that is very much his own, doesn't really faff around. The only thing, and I fired a text over to Nick Doherty last year at the Masters, and I said Scotty Scheffler was on the range with a grip guide, and it was very interesting to see the face orientation change in Scotty's top of backswing position. Wrist angle is no different, but grip face angle has got stronger. Again, very much his own technique, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Well, I think his technique looks a little bit quirky because he's doing the Irish dance, but actually, I've still yet to do it. I want to kind of cover up his legs and watch his swing from just top half of the body, because I don't reckon there's a lot of movement until just after impact. I think he's clearly just got massive club face control, going back to your point about like the grip side of things and tweaking that. He's not manipulating it through, or if he is, it's because he wants to and he's trying to hit a shot type. And I think the shot that I saw that most with was his pitching at Augusta and the shot into 9, where just that club face just stayed so online. And we kind of think, well, how is he that good? Well, that's why he's that good. He's that in control. Very
much so. We've got James, as usual, sitting back, drinking martinis, and 2 of them taking it easy. The real work is done, as usual, in front of the camera. We've got both of the iPads, so questions are coming in fast and furious, which is great to see people already online and waiting for us. So I got the sweater off. Yeah. How much work I've got. Simon's been whizzing around picking up a lot of different golf clubs that you've already started to request. So we're going to crack straight on in because it's a busy night and we want you to get as many questions over to us as we can. So we won't pontificate too much tonight. Keith L 2022, nice to see you back in the chat. Keith, hi guys, can you please compare the P790 irons versus the King Cobra Tour irons? Thinking of upgrading, so would like to get your thoughts and see how both compare.
Okay, so we've got the King Cobra Tour on the bottom and the P790 at the top. So construction-wise, the big difference, the P790 is a hollowed out construction. So it's got a marage face, it's got a little bit of faster, thinner face, a little bit more tungsten in the sole. The King Tour has a little channel cut in the back, but it's not designed to be as hot in terms of club face and ball speed. So the King Tour, softer head, softer frame, forged frame. That's going to sound and feel a little bit softer straight away. That's going to be one difference. But they should, I've already checked, lofts are the same. They should create some different ball flights. So, first swing.
Very good.
That didn't feel too painful. Right. So this is the King Tour first. So really nice forged frame, soft sound. The polymer in the back helps to dampen that sound down. Very traditional, clean looking club head. For that swing, yeah, I'm not going to beat that one, I'll just do one. that
was pretty flush, was it?
16 launch, this is a 6-iron, 16 launch, 5-2 on spin, so very neutral, mid-launch, mid-spin head.
Very nice. If you're new to our Monday Night Lives, we're always here 6 p.m, Simon and I taking all your questions. If you haven't brought a friend along, make sure you share what we do here. Great to get them along too and grow the channel. As you can appreciate, we would love to become one of the biggest, if not the biggest, club fitting channel on YouTube.
So P790, cast frame, there's elements of the forge, but cast frame, more tungsten in the toe and the heel. That's to generate a little bit more stability off center. Will sound and feel clickier. So very, very different note off the face. And so what we can see here is smash factor ball speed's a little bit stronger. It's gone 10 yards, 9 yards further. So spins 700-800 revs less. So the construction of the head keeps a little bit of launch, but reduces spin, adds a little bit of ball speed. So from a distance point of view, the P790 is stronger and a hair more forgiving. But if you're kind of lower spin or looking for control, King Tour and will feel softer.
Very good. Hopefully that helps you out, Keith, with that feedback. Bama number 1, Simon, good evening, and good evening to you too. Bama, leave me out, don't worry about that, that's fine. Just joking. Would love to hear if there are any gapping issues with the Srixon Mark II 5-7-iron set. Love the show, keep up the great work.
The ZX5s or the ZX7s?
It doesn't say, it's the Srixon Mark.
The Mark IIs.
Mark IIs.
I mean, the only gapping issues you're going to get is if you don't consider what the pitch wedge loft is. I'm assuming down the bottom into the wedges, I'm assuming you mean there. The two heads, the ZX7s continue the construction with a bit of tungsten in the sole, so there's no extra speed off the face to worry about with those. And ZX5, there's a progression of face tech through. The only possible bit is they're quite low spin. So if you're not a high spinner of the ball, then the short irons might get bigger gaps and then bunch up at the top end if the spin's too low for you. So that's possibly where one thing can happen there.
Very good. We'll take one more on this side and we'll go over to my channel. Horse Racing Legends, love to have you back. Horse Racing Legends. Hi folks, could you hit a Fujikura Axion 105S in a Callaway UT and compare it with a Nippon Modus 3 130? Quite a big difference in weight there in those two.
Yeah, big difference in weight. You asked about the UT. We don't have those two, particularly the Nippon, the Modus 130 in a utility iron. So I will compare them, but it will be one of our 6-iron heads, but it'll still give the comparison.
Great.
Yeah, so as Stuart said there, the Axiom incorporating some of the Fujikura's VelaCore technology. So that's really about stabilizing the shaft, reducing the ovaling, making it better off center without making it just harsh. But at 105 grams, relatively light. I guess from an iron shaft, I guess you call it mid-weight really. Iron shafts go from 40 grams to 140, so they do sit right there in the middle, but very, very stable in the tip. So actually for a 105 gram shaft, relatively tip balanced for a composite, but as we can see relative to the other data we had, the head keeps a bit of spin on, but the shaft really stable, really tight, better. If you're looking to generate maybe a little bit of speed and wanting a bit of help, not being too heavy, if you've got deep pockets, the Axioms, very good shaft there because they're quite a dear shaft, but very good quality. The Modus 130, now there are a few things that are slightly different here. Obviously you've got 25 grams, well 20 grams more weight because they actually weigh 125 grams. But the balance point is higher up, ironically in the shaft and the steel, it's higher up in this one. The Axiom is more down the bottom. So they do swing very differently, different total weights, but the Modus is more evenly weighted, the Axiom is more weighted down the bottom. So I've got quite a bit more raw weight of shaft to deal with this. Designed to be stable in the midsection, softer tip, whereas the 105 and 120 Modus are stiff tip, softer here. And this is quite heavy for me to swing, so this will require 3 Weetabix. Yeah, so for me, where this is a little strong, I have to really fight to get that through, end up flicking it a bit. which has created higher launch, lower spin, but you know, I had to hit it quite hard to get it through. So I probably generated, I'll just double check, a little bit more club speed. Yeah, mile an hour and a half more club speed because I had to work harder, but then distance is basically the same. So there are kind of reactions that every player will have to the different weights, good or bad, but the biggest differences are heavier, higher balance, lighter, heavier and stiffer in the tip.
Very good. Matt Moore asks, Stuart, it's time to be cheeky. I'm going to ask 3 questions. At setup, does your spine angle increase with shorter clubs? For me, I prefer to see a fairly consistent relationship of spine angle. I always talk about the shaft and the spine being as close to 90 as possible at address. I don't promote standing taller for driver, standing more bent over for short irons. So that's the answer to that question. Because you've asked 3, I'm going to keep them short and concise, or else I'll be here all evening. Can you recommend the best app for doing swing analysis? For Mac, I can only give you insight on, I use Analyzer Golf. So that would be my recommendation. There are loads out there, but I don't use an app on my phone. As a golf coach, I don't think it looks very good if I'm showing clients their swings on my phone. I do it on a big plasma screen via my computer. Advice with playing from the rough. Grip the club a bit harder, pop the ball back in your stance and stand a little bit more open and take more loft than you think you need. Those would be 3 top tips for those.
Get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Bammer number 1, Stuart, would you mind going over the tip to hit draws and fades? I must be missing something, still having trouble hitting the draw, thanks a million. So hitting a draw and a fade. The draw, very simple. Take the golf club up in front of you, close the face, take your normal grip, and then rotate the face back to straight. You'll feel your grip is a little bit on the strong side because you're now going to return the face more closed to the path. You then need to aim yourself down the right, depending on how much you've closed the face before putting the grip on. If you've done it a lot, you need to aim down the right a lot, and then all you simply do is make your usual swing, and you'll see the ball bend right to left in the air. If you then want to hit a fade, open the club face up, grip the club, turn the face back to where it was, depending on how much you've opened the face up. Will dictate how much you aim down the left, then make exactly the same swing, and then you'll see the ball fade to the right. That's the easiest way to play with a fade and a draw without having to do anything else other than just change the placement of the hands on the golf club. And that really isolates, in a nutshell, why grip is absolutely top of the pile, and that's why you see Scotty Scheffler working on his grip. That would be my advice.
Nearly made a nice little heart on the screen.
I know, it was beautiful, wasn't it? It was beautiful. Let's jump back over here onto the fitting channel. We have David Burton. Hi Stuart and Simon, looking forward to my lesson with Stuart at the end of May. Me too, David. Can you explain the left at the top of the backswing, making sure it's not cupped? I sometimes find myself cupped. Cupped is not a problem. The only thing that you will find a problem with being cupped is if you've got yourself a weak grip and then you cup the golf club, the face is going to be a long way open. If, however, you have a stronger grip where you have a bit of a cup in here to start with, you can still have a cup and the face is perfectly acceptable. So don't fight a cup. If you can't stop yourself from being cupped to the top, don't fight it. Just adjust your grip at the start and that will fix your slice if that's what you're trying to cure. I think that's what David said there. No, he's just fighting it being cupped. So don't fight it being cupped. If that's what you repeat, well, why would you want to change that? It's repeatable, it's consistent. So just change the hands on the golf club, still keep it cupped, the face will be stronger and you'll be hitting some beautiful draws.
But you never said cup so much in your life.
No, cupping. A Christian Diamond, can you please compare the Vista Pro and Tour AD-DI shafts in a 3-wood? Many thanks.
Certainly can, yes. Very different animals from a construction point of view. So, as I get these out, if I can get this out of here, I'll put it together. There we go.
Play some music while you're doing
so
that.
So the Vista Pro series is essentially kind of Fujikuru's one of their entry-level shafts. It's actually a shaft we use a lot in fairway woods. They've incorporated higher grade materials as they develop the shaft model over the years. It's on about its 3rd or 4th iteration now. But kind of a mid-launch, mid-spin, just good entry or good value shaft, really good value shaft actually. But with a little bit of tip response. The DI, Graphite Designs, the Tour AD series, really top grade materials. A little bit softer in the middle, stiffer butt, stiffer tip, but structurally should play a little bit more stout. So in theory, purely in theory, the Tour AD should play a little bit lower spin.
In theory.
But that's purely theory.
Good old theory.
Yeah. So I'm using the AI Smoke Triple Diamond just because that's the most representative one to the head that I use, which is the Paradigm Triple Diamond. So you definitely get, with this shaft, you get a little bit of sense of load and a little bit of pop through the bottom end of the shaft. So that's what makes it a good fairway wood shaft. It's stable enough through the middle, but it's not harsh at the bottom, so it gives you a little bit back. So that one, 13.9 launch, 3.6 on spin, so quite a nice mid-flight.
Nice belt top combo.
Well, thank you.
Shoes didn't match it, but we'll go with
they match the trousers.
Trouser shoes. Yeah. Top half, bottom half. Like it. No, it's good.
Yeah, it's,
like that.
I don't have shoes that are.
No.
That would be a bold play.
That'd be a serious look with a care of.
That would be one definition for it. Yeah. So Tour AD. So actually, the Tour AD is a couple of grams heavier. The Vista Pro plays at 76 grams. The Tour AD DI7 at 78. So and it swings. The balance point's just a little bit more down the bottom in the Tour AD as well, and it's very orange. Yeah, so definitely a tighter feel of impact. You can feel it's designed with a stiffer tip, lower torque, but it's definitely got a crisper feel of impact and requires a bit more hitting to get the response out of it, but exactly the same launch, 13.6 launch, but 3.2 on spin. So theory and practice have shone out, but
shone well.
It's more solid shaft, needs a little bit more hitting, quite a lot more expensive, but flattens the flight off a little bit.
Stuart Reynolds asks, can you give him our thoughts on the Pro Sender training aid? Someone asked about this the other week. I can't remember what it is, but I'll have a little look while we're on the air and we'll come back to you on that one. Minsock Park, Simon, could you describe the Mitsubishi C6 hybrid shaft with the Kylie blue fairway wood shaft a little bit? So that's the first part of the question.
Right. So the Kylie blue, any Mitsubishi shaft that's a blue colour is a blue profile. So the blue board, the original Diamana blue, stable butt section, a little softer in the middle, a very consistent profile, but a little bit stiffer in the tip. It has that. So the Kylie blue is just a current iteration of that. So mid-launch, mid to low spin, stable shaft, it'll feel a little bit firmer. The Diamana version of it is technically designed around being a little bit smoother, but the Kylie slightly more stout feeling, and the other one was the C6. So the C6 black, a hybrid shaft, again, the C stands for Clubmaker series, so very versatile shaft, plenty of parallel tip to trim to alter the tip stiffness, but a really kind of mid-launch, mid-spin, very versatile shaft.
Very good. That was the only question. Minsock went on to say there wasn't very much online about either of those shafts. So
yeah, shaft manufacturers don't necessarily want you to find out too much because you might decide it doesn't suit you if you just want to buy one online. But yeah, a lot of shaft information is, I'm not going to say it's hidden, but there are different standards for torque measurement. There are different standards for stiffness profiles. There is a standardization with a company based in Scottsdale that have a load of data that we've got access to. But yeah, there's not a lot out there.
Bama number one, any update on when Colin Montgomery might stop by for a chat for us? Well, we had a chat with Colin a good few months ago. Busy time of the season for him coming in and going. So maybe we can get him in at some point, but
yeah, I'm sure we can get him in at some point. Obviously, it'll have to time with his schedule with US and back and forth across the Atlantic. But Colin will certainly be. I'm sure he'll be up for that.
Yeah. Andy Corso, hi Stu, hope you're doing well. Missing the content. Yeah, I've been a little bit puffed out by it all, if I'm not being honest. I've found it all a little bit hard work, so I've had to just take a little bit of a hiatus on that, but more content will be coming your way soon. MY, hi Stuart, would you recommend a more neutral grip for longer irons to help with flight for mid to low swing speed players? Absolutely. There's a tipping point where long irons become really prohibitive for flight and distance, and hybrids take over, and so swing speeds are absolutely dependent on whether you're going to enjoy a long iron. If you are a low swing speed guy or girl, absolutely a weaker grip to give you a little bit more loft, but you will be susceptible to a little bit more of a fade, light angles of attack. So if you are low swing speed, for my money, and interested to hear Simon's on this, I'd always push you down the hybrid route over a long iron.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about low swing speed. You have low swing speed and a high launch profile. So Stuart and I are the same, very, very similar numbers in terms of swing speed, but you hit a low ball, I hit a higher ball. So you play a hybrid where I play a driving iron. Yeah. So it's a, yes, at lower speed, launch angle's critical, but also depending on where your natural spin and launch profile are, one will suit you versus the other.
And if you are a stronger gripper, you will be a lower spinner. If you're a weaker gripper, you will be a higher spinner, and that's where it kind of sits as well. MY goes on to ask, when testing on TrackMan, do you need to put anything on the club face? No, you don't. And we've actually got golf balls that are specific to TrackMan by Titleist that have got a sheath under the cover, I believe, of the actual golf ball, which picks it up perfectly.
Yeah, it's a little metallic kind of Y-shaped pattern underneath the cover that reflects the radar and means you haven't got to stick dots on it. The ones that don't have it, you stick a metallic dot on and it measures the spin, but club face doesn't need anything.
Yeah. Jeff Berger asks, any tips for keeping posture through impact without overly stressing your back? Whew, that's a big topic, and I would go on to my channel and check out some videos on early extension. I think that would be a better way to go than me giving a very, very brief outline on doing that, because there is no quick tip on that. That early extension is saving golfers. If you have early extension through the golf ball, that is trying to help you square the face up, because early extension is you backing up, pulling up and out of the shot to allow you to square the face up. So the symptom is the early extension. The remedy lies elsewhere. So you can't just try and jam yourself into better posture. Just doesn't work that way. So go check out some of my content on my channel on early extension.
Possibly the only thing would be, don't throw yourself at it. Time it.
Yeah.
Because if you go too hard, some people will lose posture and
Sure.
That's the only thing I can think of.
The only trouble with that is you start swinging so slowly to hold posture, and now you're at it short and offline. So I wouldn't necessarily go down that route. Let's jump back onto the fitting channel. Keep those questions coming in, guys. We'll answer them all. Tom Ashmore, evening, gents. Nice to have you with us, Tom. Have you done any testing with the 2024 TP5X ball? Also, the Speeder NX Green is working great so far. Thanks, Simon.
Brilliant. Yes, I have. When we got some prototypes of the ball through, would have been back end of last year, and so certainly they've picked up a little bit of ball speed, particularly in the mid irons. Both the TP5 and TP5X are a little bit faster, and I've noticed about a 3 to 4 yard gain. But the TP5X is back to being a really low spin ball. So if you're a high spinner of the ball and looking to bring that spin profile down, TP5X kind of throughout irons and woods, very good for that.
Yep. Zimmer asks, any tips for tempo training? Yeah, use yourself a metronome. Start off at around 47 to 50 beats per second, and that will really give you a good start point. First beat is to take away, second beat is at the top of the backswing, and then go for your life. And what you want to do is, if you can, is have a 3-to-1 ratio, so your backswing is 3 times slower than your downswing, and that would be a good starting point. But if you use a metronome, it's much easier to start to determine a consistent length of timing of backswing, because I think ultimately backswings are the thing that causes problems with golfers more than downswing. Sure, you can get a bit quick on the way down, but if you're poised for quick movement, I think you'll be in a better place to have a faster downswing. So always backswing is something that I would get you working on as a tempo drill. Horse Racing Legends, amazing demonstration, Simon. Thank you so much. You are welcome. John Parr 00. Hi, can you help someone with a flying elbow? I've tried all the ways of stopping it, but always returns. Flying elbow.
Before that elbow's got a nice moustache and a biggle tap.
Yeah, flying elbow. Do you mean at the top of the backswing, or do you mean in the through swing? So come back to us with the answer on that.
Through swing, is that chicken wing?
That's
flying elbow chicken wing. Is that the way?
It might. Well, that's how I would understand it. But I just want to quantify if it is flying elbow at the top or chicken wing through the strike. So come back to us on that, John Parr, and I will answer that. Wing. When you answer, yeah, KFC normally. So as soon as I see it pop up, I'll go straight back to it. Glenn 400, question for Stuart, please. How do you go about managing long clubs off tee on first couple of holes? I seem to hook due to what I guess is being stiff and cold. Go with a super light grip. When you're cold, you'll tend to grip it a bit firmer, and you'll tend to get the club a little bit too wide on the way down. If you get a little bit of a lighter grip and actually grab a couple of clubs in your hands as a baseball bat and just make a few swings with a light grip, the club shaft will load a little bit more. But if you're not using your feet well, which is slowing your lower half down, again, that can be another reason why you'd want to unload the club pretty quickly. The other ingredient, obviously, with a long iron, the ball's further forwards. So everything that you're doing with a long iron, you're cold, it's a longer lever, and your lower half's not working, balls forwards, is promoting that closing of the club face. So if you can, get your feet working a bit quicker, lighter grip, and pop the ball a little bit further back, because that might help. James had a question.
One other thought, we're going to be, unless it's already up, there is a warm-up video with Kate that will be posted. That's always the best idea, is actually do a warm-up. And you spend a few minutes, 5 minutes doing a warm-up, that will pay dividends in the first few holes.
Yes, it is. It's coming out this week, isn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. John Parr has said at the top of the backswing, flying right elbow. Okay, let me talk about the old flying
Eamon Darcy.
The old flying right elbow. So flying right elbow, you won't be surprised to know, is about the grip. So first of all, flying right elbow here is about you trying to square the club face up, because if you think about what the flying right elbow is doing, as we get to the top of the backswing in most golfers that don't have a flying right elbow, the right forearm is externally rotating and setting. So that's where the elbow sits. Now you've got to have a certain amount of external rotation of your right forearm to be able to sit that way. I'm a bit restricted myself, but I don't have a flying right elbow. But what I do have is external rotation of my forearm. Now, when you have external rotation of your forearm, what it tends to do is tries to weaken off the club face. So if you have a weak grip or you have any form of slice, your right arm is trying to close the club face at the top. And so it flies out and it tries to get the club face closing early in your downswing. So what you want to do, get your grip a little bit stronger. So show yourself a few more knuckles on the left hand. You can go and check out on my page. I've done a grip series. Get your left hand a little bit stronger. And then what you want to do is lift the club up in front of you and sit the shaft at about 80 degrees to the right of you if you're a right-handed golfer. So in your posture, lift the club up in front of you, sit the club shaft at 80 degrees, and then make a backswing. And what you'll see and feel is that when you lay the shaft down, you are actually promoting the external rotation of the right forearm that will kick your elbow back at you. I'm not trying to tuck it in, I'm just externally rotating my forearm. So if I'd held my arm out in front, externally rotate it, hold my arm out in front, externally rotate it, and now make a top of backswing. And you can now see how my right arm sits underneath the shaft. But if I then swing into the golf ball and the ball slices off to the right, you will only do that once before you're back in this way. So what you need to do, as soon as you get that club shaft and that right elbow in a better position here, when you start hitting the golf ball, what you need to do is to start to see the ball drawing. Because when it starts drawing, that right arm will start to feel like it can keep sitting down. So it's really crucial that the grip, the forearm rotation, and the ball flight all start to match up to help you conquer that flying right elbow, because it's a super easy thing to change, but you just need to know the protocols to do it.
I think pertaining to that is that fascinating how, you know, as golfers, we all want a quick fix. We all want to, right, what's the one thing I've got to do? But the answer is that the one thing links to that, links to that, links to that. And unless you do the circle,
Yeah.
complete the circle of all the other bits and understand the knock-on effects, then you're just putting a sticking plaster or fixing a leak, and then it comes out somewhere else.
And what you often see is, I mean, I've seen people on the range with a belt around their arm and around their chest to keep their elbow tucked in. I mean, honestly, it's farcical, but people will just do it.
And Scotty Scheffler, he's up.
Absolutely.
Because he's got width.
Yeah. So there is no, as Simon says, there's no one quick fix, but if you know the layers that you need to apply to make that change, it really doesn't come too difficult. Matt Batchelor, evening gents. Good evening, Matt. Lovely to hear from you. What are positives of using a slant neck putter versus a standard neck putter? Sorry, not an exciting smasher driver question. No. Loving the lives. No, we take all questions.
So by standard neck, I'm assuming you mean like the plumber's neck, the L neck. And really what you're changing, so the shorter the neck, I happen to have one here. Oh. So slant neck, I use a slant neck. So it's that shorter neck there, and the slant comes from that slant there. So the shorter the neck, the more, the closer to the heel side that the shaft is. And so the shaft intersects more towards the inside of the head. So there's more mass outside of it. So the shorter that neck, the more, as you swing the putter back and through, the more effectively, when people talk about toe hang, like that, the more toe hang you get. Therefore, what toe hang does not do is it does not flip the toe through, it does not square it. Actually, as you accelerate the putter, it does that, it opens it up. So the shorter the neck you have, the more the putter is trying to mitigate against the left miss. The less toe hang you have, the easier it's making it to square the toe up. So if you're someone who misses to the right, you should be playing a more face balanced putter. If you're someone who misses to the left, then you should be playing, most of the time, this is very broad, but a short neck putter, so that the toe basically hangs open and squares up through impact.
Very good, very good.
There's some physics of the putter which are completely misunderstood. Face balance does not hold the putter head square.
No, can't do that, because it's got an insert point of the heel, right?
Yeah, it's just changing the way that the mass in the head, as you move it, gears around the shaft. Yeah. It's a bit like the lab putters that are torque balanced. They're just taking out any influence from the gearing of the head as you move the putter around the shaft. It doesn't stop you opening and closing the face. It doesn't hold the putter head on line, but it just means there is no influence from the gearing of that mass around the shaft to influence how the face opens and closes. But the human can still open and close the face and miss putts.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jeff Berger has already asked that question. Norwegian Warhound.
Good morning, I think.
Yeah, I think it is good morning, yeah.
Or good day.
Well, got fit for the top end of the bag. What's the difference between Ping Tour and the 2.0 version? Also, I think the early extension days are done. Thank you, Stu, for the help. Cheers, fellas.
So the 2.0, it's a second iteration of it. They're doing the black and the chrome. The chrome is a stiffer tip, lower spin, and the black is basically the same as they've done before.
Got it. Okay.
But they're both slightly higher balance shafts, but really quite stable, quite stiff through the handle end.
Very good. Flip, not my son. Interesting handle. Hey, Stuart. Oh no, sorry, I've just skipped past Gary. Goodness me, how disgusting. Gary Satterfield, nice to see you.
You definitely don't want to.
No, don't skip Gary. Don't skip Gary. Hey guys, great stuff as usual. Thank you, Gary. Is it harder to bend a lower compression golf ball in the sky?
No.
It's easier.
No, it makes no difference whatsoever.
Spin, right? Yeah. Is the thing that makes balls bend.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's a bit like people say, oh, forgiving head, you can't shape that as much. There's an impolite phrase and there's a polite phrase, and the polite phrase is complete tosh. If the face angle's shut to path, it's going, as a right-handed player, right to left. If the face angle's open, it's going left to right. And there isn't a golf ball or a club head that can stop it.
Yep, absolutely. Flip, not my son. Hi, Stuart. I'm not very flexible, you and me both, and have very little depth at the top of my backswing, but on TrackMan, I swing too much inside out when trying to get more depth. I swing even more inside out. So I guess the question is, if I make my backswing flatter, how do I stop my golf swing being more inside out? So,
after you've done this, I'm going to go very quickly back to that previous question once you've done that.
Love it, love it. So, inside out. Let's talk about inside out. TrackMan is reading the head only. Hold on tight, folks, because this might get a little deep. TrackMan is only reading the head, and it's not reading the handle. So if I was to make that shaft stand more vertically, that club swinging straight is going to have less in to in than it would do if that handle was down. Because now when it's pitching around that axis, that club is swinging more in to in than when I pitch the shaft up, it's swinging much straighter. So the pitch of the shaft, which will directly correlate to how low and high your handle is, will start to tie in. So when someone has had a super elevated backswing, he'll tend to pitch the shaft quite vertically, and in most cases, in an effort to try to get himself to swing inside out, he'll push the handle out this way, because the shaft is steep and the handle is pushing to the right. But as you can see, as I push the handle to the right, the club head tracks in, it's going to swing inside out, but the face is going to be wide open. So what you need to do, if you're now swinging flatter, what you need to do is now to get that handle feeling like it's going to work out to the ball line as early as possible, and then back in and across you. Because what you want to understand, I've done it many times on this show, is if the handle is tracking to the left, and I'll step back so you can see all that down the line, that handle is tracking to the left, but look how the club head is traveling to the right. And so if a golfer thinks that inside out comes from this direction with the handle, yes, the club head gets pulled inside, but it makes your face miles open. So when you make your arm plane flatter, you've then got to feel more over the top on the way down so that you can get the handle back out and back in as quickly as you possibly can. But it's a tricky feel, because handle track is one thing, then you've got to navigate the face angle. I talk about this extensively on my channel with a series of broom videos, which is unique in its own case, but it's been very well received. The broom, yes, a garden broom, gives you a really clear understanding of how influential the track of the handle and the face alignment work. And when you then start to buy into that, you'll see how important the pitch of this handle down through strike is, and how this shaft must pitch around you to make it all line up nice and square down at the start. Hopefully that's not too deep and lost you at all, but these questions I'm not fussed on, just giving you a quick tip, really.
To go back to the ball question, a low compression ball will very slightly reduce shot shape because it stays on the club face, it squashes and stays on the club face a bit longer. Therefore you get actually a little bit less side spin grip. So very slightly will reduce side spin.
Very good. Chi Therapy, hi guys, I got my hands on a gyro swing club. Are you familiar?
See where they go.
I know, it lets me feel the opening and closing of the face in the swing. Is that true to your reality of feeling in the swing? I don't feel my face open and close. No, absolutely not. Do you?
Other than like at impact and a reaction to, in terms of, it's a good question. I'd have to think about it, but it's like, what am I actually, is what I think I feel what is actually happening. It's kind of there's such a quick reaction that,
I certainly don't feel like the face opens and the face closes. No, I feel like my face works up and down the pitch of my swing. So if that's my setup there address, I'm actually feeling my club face orientate itself up and down that plane. I don't feel my face roll itself open and roll itself closed. I'm feeling my club face swing up, down and back up the other side as much as I possibly can. Inevitably there'll be some roll in there, but I'm definitely not feeling the face open and close in the way you're expressing.
I'd say when my swing feels good, then it feels like the face stays on plane and all that. Yeah. Well, that's certainly what I'm trying to get as well.
Trying to do, yeah, for sure. Matt, Niels Axelson, Nice. Welcome to the show, Niels. As usual, regular on here. Is there a 2024 trend forming for the irons that most people are fit into in the players iron category? Good question.
I think that there are just trends based on what heads are producing what flight patterns. So, for example, the Mizuno Pro 243 is a little bit lower spin than the 223 was. So, if you're looking for a slightly lower spin flight, there's that one, and the T150 is not too bad for that. T100 Titleist launches and spins it a little bit more. So there are certainly head models that you'd be using to, assuming I'm interpreting the question right, to optimize someone's launch and spin, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's a trend from a design point of view. We've seen them go stronger in flight. We've seen some then come back weaker in flight. So, Callaway, perfect example. The head I was hitting earlier, so the Apex Pro, previous model was much stronger in flight. This one creates more spin. So it depends which brand, where they want to orient the design profile as to what we see from each club head.
Very good.
And how we fit them for the player.
Cool Breeze, nice handle. And good evening. Hi Stuart, can you give some insight on impact to follow through? Seen a lot of greats have minimal wrist rotation but have a cupped lead wrist and bowed trail wrist. Tried it, but it's not natural. Good question. And I've, surprisingly or not, I've done a video on this. And again, like all of my stuff, it comes back to grip. So if you have got a grip that shows, and I'll come on in here, if you've got the pad of your hand on the golf club like so, and you're putting the golf club in your fingers, when you take the club back down, you can see you've got a kink in here. Now this kink can be used as you unload the golf club to pivot the golf club around. So my left hand, the pad of my left hand is on the top of the club, and my forearm is internally and externally rotating. And so if you've got a grip like this, as you start to move through the golf shot, as the golf club is unloading, can you see how my left wrist angle here has still got cup in it? Still got cup. And if I've got cup here, it means my right wrist, the trail wrist, is going to be a little bit more bowed. Now, of course, if I had a grip that was weaker and I did exactly the same thing, look how wide open that face is. So when you see golfers with a strong grip, Matt Fitzpatrick, Scotty Scheffler going that way, and they have a release pattern that has got more cup in their left wrist on the other side, and we see more loft in the golf club, it's because it's working around their starting grip. So if you don't understand where that release pattern has come from, and that is at address, you're going to go down an alleyway that's going to make you worse for it, and it won't feel natural to you. But you also got to understand that that grip is then tied into how they move their body and how they move their arms and pitch the shaft of the golf club. So it's a multi-layered effect that a grip change will have either a positive or negative effect on you. And I have a real beef with people saying, change my grip, feels dreadful. Well, if you change your grip properly and in the right direction, it should take you no more than 12 shots. Anyone I ever work with, if I change their grip within 12 shots, they've had that wow moment multiple times. That wow moment that they went, oh my goodness, that ball speed felt way faster than normal. And at that point, it's like, well, why wouldn't I keep gripping it that way? Sure, I've got a different bend in the sky, but that's ultimately what people will want to turn up and play with and start to have the opportunity to do. So the grip is the grounding that allows you to build on top of. So when you talk about a release pattern, you're talking about that bowing of the right wrist, that cupping of the lead wrist. That is just a reaction, setup and of the grip, and then everything that's gone else around it. Long answer again, but hopefully that's been insightful. We were on this one.
How hard it is to things like the grip side of things to answer them succinctly.
Yeah, it's a complex mechanism, that is for sure. John Parr at the top of the backswing, so we've answered that one for him. Niels Axelson, take the answer for the chicken wing as well while you're at it. Okay, good old
barbecue sauce.
The barbecue sauce. Well, the chicken wing is this one here that we see with golfers as you're coming through, the arms popping up. The chicken wing, once again, is trying to help you out. The chicken wing is breaking down because the left shoulder and the right hip have stopped moving. You've started moving your golf club into the golf ball, and because you've been moving too sideways, maybe the left leg has started to give way and you're trying to square the club face up, your body has stalled out. You've got a mass here. What's the weight of an average club head?
6-iron, 260 grams.
You've got 260 grams swinging at anywhere between 60 and 100 miles an hour, and it's swinging past you and your body's stalling out. If your left arm didn't buckle up and chicken wing, you'd snap your elbow off and your shoulder. So do not be thinking that this chicken wing is a problem. It is a good thing. It's helping you out. And so therefore, we need to speed up your chest. The only way you speed up your chest is by making your feet work properly. So what you need to do is start to use the ground a bit more. Get that left leg a little bit longer in your downswing. So as you start to pull on the golf club, start to get that left leg longer. Feel like you can get that left hip tucked back inside yourself. And now all of a sudden, look how my right shoulder's moved around, and now I can get my arms longer here. And at that point, I can now start to get my arms longer post-strike. For heaven's sake, don't try and fix your arms. You need to fix your leg action first. If you then start to have a bend in the sky to the right, get the grip sorted, get the face right. It's so easy to change those long overdue swing ailments, but knowing the procedure. We always go, oh, I lift my head, oh, I early extend, oh, I overswing. And you always try to fix the thing that you're looking at, but rarely is the thing that you're looking at that needs fixing. It's something else elsewhere.
So if you've got chicken wing, have a thigh and a drumstick as well.
With some barbecue beans. With some barbecue beans.
Like that, I came up with that.
Yeah, it's very good. That's very good. Yeah, yeah.
Quite proud of that one.
Yeah, good, good. Got it at the same place you got the belt. Yeah.
Yep.
So John Parr says, thanks straight off to the range. You're welcome. Glen 400, nice one, guys. My open mind, do you do fittings for lab putters?
We do. We've got the Mez and the Mez 1 Max upstairs. As I say, it's really looking at how the putter suits the person. There's always an element of stroke in there as well, and what are you doing? Aiming is a massive part of it, and what head style you aim straight. But yes, we certainly do.
Very good. So I'm going to jump past. We've got quite a few golf swing questions coming over on the Golf Channel. I want, if we can, try to keep the fitting questions on the Precision Golf Channel and the swing ones on there, just to keep it nice and even. But no stress if you do want to fire one over on the Precision Golf Channel. Could you show, so Mike T, have a direction, yes, so, sorry, Mike T, have a direction issue with 4 hybrid going straight right. No issue with other clubs. Any suggestions why that might be with his 4 hybrid?
4 hybrid, I mean, the hybrids can be kind of tricky creatures. I mean, something a hybrid could be a really, really, really small change. It could be like a gram on the head. It's likely to be a very, very small swing weight issue, I would say. So fractionally,
could be
both. It could be either, but more likely a little heavy, just getting a little bit behind and getting a little bit stuck. But a very, very finite head weight change is likely to fix that. And
maybe a ball, nudge your ball half a roll forwards as well. That might help you square it up. This chap's handle is no thanks, like that. If I'm stuck playing shafts that are not stiff enough for me, is there anything in my swing I should be doing to compensate for this? Just swing slower, for example.
So you've just coined one of the biggest misconceptions in golf, is that flex will take the ball offline. If that was the case, the world long driver guys wouldn't be using the equivalent of a soft regular flex. So the flex will not be the issue. If you're hitting it offline, it's because you and the club are getting out of sync. So you could use the stiffest shaft in the world, but if you and the club aren't working as a pair and you're losing the club head through impact or having to compensate, then the face is going to get offline. So what you must try not to do is to confuse flex with dispersion issue. It's going to be mass and balance point.
Very good. James Young, hi guys, another great show. Thank you, James. Please can you compare the Apex CB versus the T100?
Certainly can.
While you're off and roaming around for that, come back over here. Hi Simon, what is the closest ball to the Pro V1X?
So you've got Bridgestone, the Torby XS, and the Chrome Tour X. So those would be the two closest ones.
Very good, very good. My live TV, my iPad has just gone flat, so I'm just going to click onto my phone and crack into the questions here. MY asks also Simon, is the new TT Mid 115 a true lighter version of the TT DG S300?
No.
Okay, good.
In a word, no.
Cause the DG 105 and 120 felt way different that tested the DG S300.
Yeah, so True Temper are a weight company, not a flex company. The Dynamic Gold, the original Dynamic Gold, the 130 gram, is a very, very neutrally balanced shaft. Kind of mid stiffness here, a little softer in the middle, stable tip. The 120 and the 105 are reinforced in the tip and swing a lot more tip heavy. The Dynamic Gold Mid is slightly even more tip balanced, but softer in the tip. So the original Dynamic Gold swings completely different. I mean, completely differently to the other models in that range.
Get firing.
And the mid's a softer tip, so it kicks it up in the air.
Yeah.
So this one is the Apex CB. With this one, there's no extra weight in the heel or the toe, just a slightly lighter pad in the middle. There's no tech really on this at all. It's just a pretty much straight out CB head. So slightly shallower top to bottom. It's a little bit of a shallower head look-wise. But just a nice solid, I mean, it's an almost a blade kind of club head. So, mid-launch, mid-spin, lots of control, not going to get any jumpers whatsoever out of this one. But marginally more forgiving than a blade, marginally. The T100 Titleist so this one has a lot more high density tungsten heel and toe. So it's designed to be a little bit more stable off center, but designed to retain a bit of launch and spin. So where the T150 has the cutaway and the knocks the flight down and forwards. So in principle, the T100 versus the Apex CB will be a little bit better off center. I've missed that so badly. So that's probably quite a good display of it. Let me do one more hit, because that was a rotter. So with the tungsten, a little bit of a clickier sound, slightly higher launch, which is where the center of gravity is lower in the head, but spin pretty similar. So T100 will kick it up a little bit more off the face, sort of mid-spin. CB, a little bit lower launch, mid-spin, slightly more forgiving, kind of nearly a blade, but not quite, for the Apex CB.
Darren Cope asks, I use my Garmin G80 GPS launch monitor at the range. It's always seemed pretty consistent, but I struggle to get high smash factor with driver. Will range balls be the issue?
Yes. Range balls, I mean, so a friend of mine who has practiced and had lessons at the range, he can't get more than a 143, 144 efficiency. This is using the TrackMan numbers, whereas whenever he comes in here, he gets 1.5. So the range balls are nowhere near the construction of an aftermarket, a kind of top premium ball. You will get good amount less ball speed off them.
Yeah, very good. Gary Satterfield, all the broom, what sweet memories.
Yeah.
That's what hooked me. Good times, good times. Bill James, hello chaps, I'm currently on Turkey tours, but how good will Costa Navarino be?
Oh, it's getting closer now. What are we, 3 weeks away? Yeah,
3 weeks,
3 weeks away.
3 weeks
Goodness.
away.
Yeah, can't wait. Yeah, need to take the sun cream with me.
yeah, it's going to be a good week. Going to be a good week. Three teams.
Yeah.
Over 3 different golf courses. Great venue. A lot of practice, a lot of play,
New
competition.
Olympic course.
Olympic course. Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. We drove around that, and it looked really, really
when
exciting.
we did our recce trip, that was where we did. If anyone saw the videos from the first trip we did before we went out, there was a view down across the bay behind one of the par 3s, and that's on the Olympic course. So yeah, we'll be off in 3 weeks' time. potentially looking at going maybe a hair earlier next year.
Yeah.
So we'll be getting dates finalised for that soon. But if you're interested in 2025, let us know. We'll be probably, as soon as we get back, be getting the dates out for that.
Yep, and we'll be taking your entries for that immediately. So if you do want to get involved in the 2025 Costa Navarino trip, do drop us a line. Flip, not my son. Hey Stuart, if you had to choose, would you prefer to have an on-plane shaft at the top or deep hands? I think you can have both. So yeah, I think you can have both. Scott Lydane, can you show me laying down the club at the top in relation to your elbow, forearm and wrist, and the difference in doing so regarding the driver and say a 6-iron? Wow, that's a deepie. Can you show me laying down the club at the top in relation to your elbow and right arm and wrist? So laying down the shaft can only be done if the club head is going, as you move the golf club back, is swinging over the top of the handle. So if the club head is swinging over the top of the handle and then you're moving the club down, that mass, the club head weight, is always going to try and fall this way. If you're someone that pulls the club head underneath the handle, as you lift the club head up, you tend to see the head weight trying to fall over. Now, there are exceptions. People do drop it on the way down. So actually what you tend to see is if you're making that kind of backswing, you're always making your right arm, as you get to the top of the backswing, you're always making your right arm externally rotate in transition, because your golf club handle is working in. So you can see how the club head is swinging over the top of the butt of the club. And as I now lift my handle up, you can see how the club head wants to fall this way. So if I was to now take out body rotation and just lift the golf club up in front of me, what I'm actually trying to do is getting the club head started by lifting up, and then what I'm trying to do is to get the handle to catch up with the head. And that's the feeling that you want with shaft laying down and forearm rotation at the top. Bear in mind that the more you lay the shaft down at the top, the more it will feel like the face is opening up to you. And so if your grip is weak and you start slicing it, you'll do it once and that will be it. So you better make sure that the grip is correct. If you start trying to do that and then start bowing your left wrist as well and then tucking your elbow in on the way down, you're going to be in a whole world of hurt. So just fix your grip and then start to work on that little drill on the way up. And I can't remember if there was any more parts to that.
So after listening to that, I think you need to lie down.
Yeah, I know. It's been some deep ones tonight. Any other questions over on the PG channel?
There is Sam J. Can you touch on how the lead foot works in using ground forces in the driver swing? When I can get my lead foot to use ground forces, my driver is significantly better, but can't do it consistently.
So let me just grab this. This is a lie mat. Yeah, lie mat. So if you were to put one under your lead foot and you were to make a downswing, and as you pull, what you would see is you'd see the board pushing out in front. So that's the direction of force that I'm putting into my lead foot as I pull on the golf club. So as you can see, it's pushing forwards and slightly diagonally. The reason why it's slightly diagonally is because my pelvis is turned, and so the force is going off in a diagonal direction. But in doing that, it's then driving my left hip back. So as I'm pushing back, it's driving my left hip back. It's also trying to pull my left shoulder down and around. The left shoulder is a key component to that left foot, because if your left shoulder tries to rise up as your left hip is trying to push back, what you'll end up with is an opportunity to start to get a little bit disconnected with where the handle track is, where the shoulder's going and the hip. I've actually done a very popular video. I had over 100,000 views on just the left shoulder movement, so do go over and check that out. But the left foot really opens up your body, but you better make sure that what you're doing above your belt line is going to enable that to be effective. Make sure the ball is a long way forwards. Make sure your left shoulder is working appropriately via that video. But that lie mat there gives you a real clear indication of where I'm pushing the force. Anything else on there?
So be careful. Mrs. Cartwright would be upset if you do that too much.
I know.
Mark Griffin, I found what Ben Hogan said helped with shallowing. Feel like elbows are trying to move closer together at the top.
Yeah, not a fan of that personally, but if it worked for Hogan, maybe it can work for you. DSC 6072. We're at 7 o'clock. Hi Stu, hope you're feeling better. I feel like my club face is shut coming down and through impact, and I can feel myself actively slowing down and holding off a hook. Any help or advice? Yeah, I would just promote a bit more cup with your left wrist on the way back and on the way down, and that will weaken the face off, and you can still unload the golf club with a cup through strike. And again, I've done a video on that. It's called Power at Impact. That'll help you out. 7 o'clock.
Cupping and fried chicken to that.
There's been a lot of cupping and fried chicken. It's been a busy night.
It's made me hungry.
It's nice to see quite...
One last comment. Hi guys, have you done much testing with the Graphite Design AD-VF shaft? Love to know how these compare to the Ventus range. Yes, VF, tip stable, low torque tip stable, quite comparable to Ventus. It's kind of sort of halfway between a Ventus Blue and Ventus Black, but very, very similar, just a bit of a different balance point and dead weight. So if you are looking for a low spin shaft, that's certainly a good option.
Very good. We've got a couple of really cool videos coming out.
That was from Van House.
Van House.
Van House.
Very good. We've got our 5-minute golf warm-up from our very own world champ and E15 competitor, Kate Davey. Got a 5-minute golf warm-up coming out on the 23rd of April. I think that's tomorrow, isn't it? Yes, tomorrow. Yeah. And then we've got a fitting of an Olympic hockey player coming out on Friday. Sam Ward?
Sam Ward, yeah.
Sam Ward,
yeah.
Very good. That was your fitting, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's centre forward for GB. Had a quite a bad sort of eye socket injury, so to get back to GB level, incredible. I mean, he's a lunatic, but you have to be to
good club speed.
Put your face towards a hockey stick. When he opens up, but hockey and golf don't necessarily intertwine too well, so very kind of shallower and body rotation, but good player.
Yeah, great. Yeah. So if you want to check those out, stay tuned to the channel. Still busy for you?
Still busy, yeah. I mean, certainly through February through May is sort of busy season, but now the sun's out, the Masters have been on. It's just about getting warm. I think it's an exciting time of the golf season, really. So yeah.
Very much so. Well, we hope all of you at home have enjoyed this evening and are playing lots of golf and getting ready for a really exciting season. I'm not going to be here next week. I'm away. But Simon will be here, and I no doubt have Matt the Beast or one of the other guys.
I will be. I hope he's watching, because now he knows.
Yeah, exactly. So we wish you all a great week of golf, and thank you so much for watching. From Simon and I, see you next time.